Hey everyone, it's Dave from Dave's Ohio Barbecue. Today I am going to be making Asian barbecue pork on the LG 900 pellet smoker. Stick around. Well, as you might be able to tell, it's kind of a rainy day here in northeast Ohio. It's getting cold, it's October. The Browns just crapped the bed and lost to the Steelers, so the only thing that's going to pick me up a little bit is going outside and making some Asian barbecue pork. This is my new favorite recipe. Before I get into it though, I want to thank everyone for subscribing. By the time this video posts, we should be up around the 10,000 subscriber mark. I had planned on reaching this goal by like next summer, so I am way ahead of schedule, and it's all because of you, so thank you very much for subscribing and continue to spread the word about my channel if you would. So now, a lot of times this barbecued pork is called Char Sui. I am not going to call this Char Sui because I know it's probably not authentic, and I don't want any comments below like, oh, you don't know any, what does a white guy from Ohio know about making Asian food? I know nothing about making Asian food. I'm just calling this Asian barbecue pork. It's not authentic. I don't expect it to remind you of your last trip to China. Now, this recipe, it's kind of a hybrid. I kind of mixed together a bunch of recipes that I've tried and that I found online to get the best barbecue pork I could. A lot of times these recipes are just done in the oven, and you can do anything I'm about to tell you right now in the oven just fine. But I feel doing it on the pellet smoker gives it a little bit extra flavor, that extra smokiness, and gets a little bit of that smoke ring in there, and it's so good. It takes it from here to here. It's really, really delicious. So to start, what you need to do is get a pork butt. This recipe will work with like a 4 to 6 pound pork butt. The one I have right here is about 5.5 pounds. First thing you need to do with it though is you need to slice it up, okay? You need to cut the pork butt into sections. And you're probably in a 4 pound pork butt, you're probably gonna get about 4 sections out of it, maybe 5. You don't want these to be too thin because you really don't want them to dry out. So divide it up so it kind of almost looks like the size that like a pork tenderloin, not the length, but the circumference of what a pork tenderloin would look like. Once I've got those all cut up, the next thing I have to do is mix a marinade that's going to go on here. The marinade consists of a half cup of just plain old white sugar, half cup of soy sauce, 6 tablespoons of hoisin sauce. If you don't have hoisin sauce, go look in the Asian section of your grocery store if you have it, or the international section, whatever they call it. It's kind of almost like Asian barbecue paste or something. It's really, really good. A 1/4 cup of dry sherry. I just use the dry cooking sherry that you can find in the cooking aisle of your supermarket. 1/4 teaspoon of ground white pepper. 1 teaspoon of Asian 5-spice powder. If you don't have Asian 5-spice powder, look online. There's a lot of ways to make it with what you would have in your pantry, like using cayenne and cinnamon and a couple other things, I think nutmeg. It's a really kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sweet, but it has a little bit of spice. It's a really interesting ingredient. So if you can find it, use it. If not, look online for an alternative and just use that instead. 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of freshly grated ginger. Now, if you don't have freshly grated ginger, you can use 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. I actually found this stuff at Aldi. It's like ginger paste. It's got a couple other ingredients in it. It's got some oil and I think some like lemon juice to keep it from turning brown, but it's all ginger all the time, and it's really good. So I use 2 tablespoons of this stuff in my marinade, and then 2 medium garlic cloves, or about 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. I'm just using from a jar right here. Now, before you go marinating everything, you want to take a half cup of this and set it aside. We're going to marinate the pork, but we also want to make a glaze, and this is going to be the base of our glaze. So I divide my pork up into 2 big, 1 gallon Ziploc bags, and I pour half of the remaining marinade on each. You want to marinate this for at least 4 hours. You could probably go overnight, or maybe 5 or 6 hours. I wouldn't do 24 hours, probably be too much. But anywhere from 4 to 8 hours would be perfect to marinate this. Now notice on my cooking sheet, I got it lined with aluminum foil. That's so anything that drips doesn't burn while it's on the smoker. I'm also going to coat this wire rack that I have here with a little bit of oil so it doesn't stick. The reason I like to put it on the wire rack is we're trying to get some smoke introduced to it in the beginning, and if it's laying flat on the cookie sheet, that whole side that's up against the cookie sheet isn't going to get any smoke on it at all, right? So pick it up a 1/4 inch off. That way the smoke can kind of circulate all the way around it and get smoke on all the surfaces. I just think it's a little bit more of an even cook that way, and you get smoky goodness all the way around. So before we crank the heat up on this smoker, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then hit the little bell next to it too. That way you get notifications when I make new videos. So I have my smoker running today at 275 degrees. This is going to go for about an hour, hour and a half. Depending on how big you cut your pieces. If they're kind of small, you may want to just keep it to an hour. Mine are pretty chunky, so I'm going to go about an hour, hour and a half until it gets to about temperature of about 145 or so. Once it gets to that temperature of 145, I'm going to apply the glaze. Now here's how you make the glaze. You take that 1/2 cup of marinade that you made before, okay? You add to that 1/4 of a cup of ketchup and 1/3 of a cup of honey. Then you're going to put it on the stove on low heat. I'm just using the side burner on my gas grill here, and you really just kind of want to bring it to a simmer and keep cooking it until it thickens. You want it to reduce by, you know, a bit so that it really coats like a spoon. You want it to be a nice thick sauce because you really want this to stick to the pork butt when you put it on there. All right, so here's my pork. It's reached 145. You can see I'm using cherry wood as my pellets here. I like cherry wood with this kind of barbecue because it does add a little bit of color to it, and you can see it's got that nice rosy red color, but it's reached about 145. I'm going to apply my glaze, my thickened glaze, all around, making sure I flip it, get it on there really good. If it drips on the pan, don't worry about it. Then I'm going to crank up my smoker to 550 degrees, okay? And I'm going to keep it there for probably about 15 to 20 minutes. You really want the outside of that glaze to kind of start caramelizing. Even if you start seeing some like little tips that are getting like charred or, you know, kind of extra toasty, that's what you're looking for. You want that outside to almost be like encased in a candy coating. It's really, really good. So I've turned it up to 550. I let it go for about, you know, 15 to 20 minutes. When you're done, let it rest. Not a very big piece of pork, so you really don't need to let it rest, you know, too long, maybe 10-15 minutes. But then you have it, you slice it up into medallions, and you're ready to rock. Now, what can you use this for? You could slice it up and use it inside like an Asian-inspired taco. I've made some like Asian coleslaw with it and put it inside a tortilla. Oh, it's really good. You can use it just on rice. I mean, it's really great just on rice. If you're trying to lose a little weight like I am, you can make cauliflower rice. I mean, not as exciting, but it tastes great on there. It just has, you know, the same mouthfeel and everything, so it's really good. There you have it, Asian barbecue pork done on the pellet smoker. I'm telling you, it's great for a crowd. It's great for a weeknight. It's great. It doesn't take that long. It only takes, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours, all said and done. Well, you got to marinate it. So actually, I guess it's more like, never mind. It's not good for a weeknight. Probably more of a weekend meal. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Dave's Ohio Barbecue. Make sure you go to my Facebook page, follow that as well. Just go to Facebook and type in Dave's Ohio Barbecue. You should be able to find it. And also subscribe. Hit the button down below and then hit the bell next to it. That way you get a notification every time I make a new video. And I have got a ton of videos coming out real soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.